Good evening, wizards. Let's get straight to the charts and overall a quick look at CoinMarketCap as well. So just wanted to do this video as a little recap as we saw a nice big explosion to the upside across BTC and XRP over the past 24 hours and even in the past 12 hours in particular. So thought we'd go over that a little bit more just to give a little trade update, give a little bit of an analysis update, an overall trend direction update. Has anything been invalidated? Has anything changed? Let's find out in this video. So starting off with CoinMarketCap, the BTC dominance around 64.6% has pretty much remained the same since yesterday. Now going over to that, we were looking at around 64 to around the overall high of 66, I believe it was 0.31. So give or take around that number, we have seen a fairly solid growth of the BTC dominance, especially since 2018 onwards and moving into 2019. But when you look at the overall longer term picture, you can see, despite the highs we're really making right now, on an overall longer term perspective, we are still in a specific downtrend, so to speak, for the overall domination and total market capitalization of BTC in particular. So as you can see over here, looking at the likes of Ethereum, looking at the likes of the others, they are slowly growing higher and higher. So taking all of the altcoins into consideration, they are taking up a solid 20% of the overall dominance of the BTC trade figure. So going over to this number and taking this into consideration, let's look at the market today. And as you can see, as the BTC dominance has started to drop, we are looking at the altcoins slowly but surely taking a bit more of a movement on their own back as well. So BTC right now is up around 2.24%, Ethereum up 4.43%, XRP up 1.23%, and overall Tron again a little bit in the negative and red today. Again, not too familiar on this one, but using this as another example, just as I mentioned with the likes of Tron, Verge, and all these other projects, when you see projects like this that just appear out of nowhere and instantly make it into the top 10, the top 20, or whatever it may be, my biggest argument for this isn't that it doesn't mean because they're in the top 10 they're actually a solid project. I'm still very against EOS, however you may say it. We know Tether is one huge inflated bubble. It's not necessarily down to where its market capitalization is to determine how successful a project actually is. All that means is there could just be a huge circulating supply. Even Ripple as a good example, there's a huge circulating supply of XRP. Obviously, when you incorporate the price into that, it would boost it up to this specific number. Market capitalization, there's a lot of content on this in the Wizard platform as well, just regarding market capitalization and the overall myths around this figure that people use as a measurement for a solid investment. At the end of the day, this isn't the stock market. This is a very different statistic. Although market capitalization can technically be issued and measured in the same manner, it is very different in the cryptocurrency market, and I will be doing much more on this as well, on this specific topic in the near future. But just to let you know, I right now could release Wizard Coin with a circulating supply 10 times the XRP circulating supply. I could very easily just set the standard price to $1 per Wizard token, and then guess what? I will be at the top of the market cap, maybe even, I don't know where I'd be, but it's very easy to do that. Like for example, like 999 million Leo, and it's got the little star next to it, so that can be subject to change, I believe, or escrow. I forgot how CoinMarketCap actually measure that star, the asterisk, but yeah, putting it into perspective, $1.29 with 999 million in circulation, it's obviously going to be in the top 14. So just take that into consideration when you do see projects up here. It doesn't mean they're actually a solid project. Anyone can release a shitload of coins or tokens, so to speak, and just really up the price to trick people. So take that into consideration, but going lower, what has happened over the past 12 to 24 hours? So our channel, however we want to do this, whether that's cheating or drawing from wick to wick, the channel has been broken. And from a 1 hour perspective right now, I am a little bit suspicious on how this could be playing out. So stop losses were hit in profit. That is why I stated in the Telegram to move SLs higher for XRP, and of course for BTC just to move those SLs just above that region where the prior wick was over there. So that was annihilated, it was wiped out. However, the trade was closed in profit. So all I said was place stop loss above here, and it wiped it out, closed you out in profit from shorts around this region. Happy days for absolutely everyone. So looking at this breakout from here on a 1 hour perspective, let's just make that a bit more precise. We are still overdue a pullback to some extent, and looking at the wick to wick, For me, this has become a very common theme and historical pattern in the BTC market in particular now, where the wick to wicks are not working as effectively as an actual body or wick to body procedure. So going over to the 4 hour, which will really clear things up a bit better. As you can tell, I only really stick to the 4 hour and daily right now, and have a little bit of a look on the 1 hour as well for a bigger perspective. So if we went to the 1 hour right now, here's why I'm not too confident on the 1 hour, because you look at the 30-minute and 1 hour, it looks like we've tapped this level, which if I drag up to here to match these bodies, it's like we've tapped it and we're just going to blow straight through the roof. But theoretically and realistically, if you go to the 4 hour time frame and you look at how in 21 minutes this candle could be closing like this could be followed up with more wick activity around the region of around $10,200. But overall, just using this as a little mark zone, this could technically be another head and shoulders as well, but it doesn't seem too valid. I wouldn't be looking to long off this region despite this huge breakout. Again, huge short opportunity of $10,200 give or take, 10,100. Nice little region to capture and move from. And my apologies, I just remembered the short was actually from 10,800, not from this region here. So all I was saying was place stops around these regions here. So if you placed it above there, you would have been okay. If you placed it above here, you would have been wiped out, but you would have caught a huge Goliath move of around $1,000. So it's a win-win situation, and the key principles of stop loss management is something I will always mention in every single video until it drives you insane. The reason being is I want you to be so bored of myself talking about stop losses that you eventually just message me and go, enough wizard, I know what to do now. And that's the goal. I want you guys to be able to go off your own back and know where to place those stop losses and know the routine procedures of literally every single time. Moving your stop losses to break even, then into profit, then taking profits, and then literally being in a risk-free trade where if things go against you, guess what? You're winning regardless. So putting that into perspective, I don't want to jump the gun on this despite the potential shoulder, head and shoulder. There's a lot of head and shoulders forming all over the place right now. Shoulder, head, shoulder. It's literally shoulder, head, shoulder. It's moving in a inverse pattern. So head, head, head. Could be a head over there as well forming if this does break out higher. But using this channel as the clearest perspective of what's going on right now, I'm going to remove this psychological support level as it could be a bit of a distraction for the time being. I do believe with this breakout, no matter what happens first, we are still going to anticipate a pullback to our stated regions. And using some fib examples, I don't really think they're too effective right now. Using any fibs, it looks okay, still lines up with our initial target, and I'm just not too convinced right now this is actually going to continue higher just yet. Using this now, again, anyone that jumped off that bullish candle, the reason I did not even provide an update, because people will just try and do stupid things even if I give a downside bias. So you've probably noticed after huge movements like this, I'm either asleep or I've finally taken a break off the charts, or I'm simply not updating it for your own sake. It's not that I'm, running away from it. I'm simply doing this to get you guys to not overtrade and over leverage. So trendline break, channel break, looking at this right now, we need to be expecting short positions are more ideal obviously right now. Beautiful region from over there. What you can be anticipating from such a level is a retest at least around this level here. So anywhere back to where the initial explosion occurred, pulling back to this level here, we could be looking at around $9,600 again. But in saying that, I am not too convinced just yet this will be gearing up for a retest and a breakout higher. I am still concerned to some extent that there will be a potential movement higher. So let's just see how this reacts first. It obviously is mirroring this right now, to be honest with you, with a huge bullish candle. It could be providing a threatening sign of what's to come, especially with that nice curvature on the curve to the upside. It is providing a pretty clear sign that we could be seeing an explosion higher. So looking at where these fib levels are as well, we need to take all of this into consideration, but I am still posted and still focused on the potentiality of the $8,600 and $8,400 region occurring. The stops have now been closed in profit, so if you want to catch intraday shorts to potentially retest that trend line, then by all means it's an excellent opportunity to do so, because price right now will likely be wick fishing around this region. That break lower does tell me we should be retesting around $10,000 to $60 again, $10,080, even $10,001 around this region. Simple Fibonacci placement on here, using this as your guidance, absolutely precise on those numbers over there as well. Very simple risk to reward procedures. You know what to do once the Fibonacci's are met. Simple stop loss just above this wick here, or these wicks. It's up to you how tight you want the trade. Looking at even targeting this movement here, pushing down to where we initially went, you're looking at around 3.52 risk to reward ratio, which is absolutely phenomenal, making 3.5 times your money off the 1 to 2% risk you are putting your trade through. So nice little setup there. I need to change these to the wizard colors, which I will do now very quickly. The stop color should be there, and that should be green. Lovely jubbly, everyone's happy. So putting that into perspective, that is the main focus for now. We do have a nice opportunity. I wouldn't really be looking to short from here, because when you put that into perspective from there, and again, this is why you don't jump the gun, you're only going to make around 1.5 times your money compared to what you would be risking. So it's not really worth the risk, and this is a good example of why we go for those sniper entries up there and up there, because once you enter off a huge candle like this, many people anticipate price to never even pull back. But even if it does close like this, or it closes a bit higher, I will be much more confident looking at those short opportunities. And again, it's down to patience. If you've missed the initial move, guys, and you haven't taken the principles that have been shown, don't rush, don't sweat it. The market will always come back. I think this is an excellent opportunity as well, and an excellent example. Many people would have shorted here or missed the short opportunity, looked at how it closed, and then bang, they would have shorted here, not realizing price would have retested the region where the prior wick fishing regions were. As you can see, wick fishing regions. If the next candle closes like this, lower or even higher, the next candle could follow up, attempt this region here, and on a 4-hour perspective, that could be a nice closure there. I mean, a nice touch, and then the closure could be even lower. So putting all of that into perspective is a bit of a risky territory to be pulling any sharp moves. Wait for the pullback, let the market work in its expected favor, and there you strike like a professional. So 15 minutes left on this. We'll see how that closes. But overall, it really hasn't changed for me just yet. I am still very convinced this could be a huge trend continuation to the downside, and I'm still expecting 9,200 all the way down to around 8.6, 8.4 before we can really see that next movement higher. Because realistically, if you look at this right now on a daily perspective, this is the first real retest of the $10,200 region. Let's get rid of all these fibs. Let's get rid of all of this. Let's get rid of this, and we will leave that there for the time being. If you want to use a simple body to wick or body to body closure, you're looking at the perfect 61.8% alignment with the horizontal ray here, and of course this is aligning nicely with the bodies. So any form of wick fishing attempts could even push up to there, but it isn't looking too promising right now, and the targets are aligning. So just so you know, in the worst case scenario, your stop loss gets wick fished and price goes up to here, it still falls nicely in line with our Fibonacci targets. So on the contrary, however, just to show this as a pretty good example, the perfect alignment we've seen here is obviously a bit of a concern. So in simple terms, guys, if you do even catch this intraday short down to the trend line retest, you can see the perfection on that 78.6 over there with the perfect alignments with my preempted levels. So putting this into consideration as well, this is a very large possibility. I cannot disregard this whatsoever. But first of all, before we can really consider such a movement, let's actually see how that trend line retest works first. By all means, if we see this retest and we see a nice curve around the 78.6 or it maintains above this level, then you can start identifying longs as well. So it could be a nice shift from a short to a long and catching a huge upside explosion spanning potentially $1,000 to $2,000. So it's looking really nice. And again, really simple analysis, just keeping this very clean and simplistic for you and very easy to understand. On the contrary, however, just to throw that out there, let me just get rid of all of this and make this even cleaner. We'll leave that there for now, as that's a good measurement. If price breaks above 10.3 yet again, we will likely retest and start continuing towards the 11.6 to 12,400 barrier as well. But overall now, we've broken through. We have now pulled up. We have retested the broken regions here. Remember, all of these levels have been annihilated, pulled up, rejected. Could be seeing some spikes up there as well. But I do believe this could be a nice leg lower to continue down to our next target. So in that perspective, let's go over to the beloved XRP. Going to the daily perspective right now. I mean, guys, the perfection on this call could not really be any better, to be honest with you. And I am still a bit indecisive and believing that XRP could maintain the lead and actually increment that breach higher. So we've actually tapped the 32 cents region, which I covered in Telegram. You would have known that already. The first level I called upon a reversal, although nothing extravagant. I'm not going to claim it was some godlike call, because it wasn't. It was just a simple intraday move for all of you. But the first thing I said from this perspective is the trend line broke. Perfect retest there as well. As you can see, I was expecting a pullback of some sorts. However, we did just absolutely explode and exploding higher, rejected the trend line, and bang, we flew even higher from there onwards. So using this from even wick to wick, as you can see, the wick to wick didn't really look too promising, and if you tried to enter long there, you would have been annihilated on that wick very likely, as people normally tend to go for tighter stop losses on those moves. But simply a little trick here, cheat the market, drag this down to where all of these bodies maintain, little spike through, perfect tap, price rocketed upwards. So what it's looking like right now, getting rid of this trend line, you've now seen that come through perfectly. The first thing I want to mention is, of course, the 34 region, exactly where I stated. Trend line, we have the 61.8, we have the highlighted zone as well, just as a bonus. We tapped that level precisely and boom, rocketed to 32 cents. The first profit taking target has come through with absolute precision. If you actually look at this here, where the candle bodies were formating around 32 cents, look at that precision, absolute precision. 1, 2, 3, perfect tap. 4 as well. A little bit of a wick fishing, little push higher, and now we've started to pull back. So as of now, I do believe price is just consolidating between these levels. It has just broken some new ground. So getting rid of this for a second, we've now technically broken through. We're now rejecting, and we could be seeing that increment higher. Remember, I actually forgot the exact targets I gave you, but these Fibonacci levels here are a big region of interest for me. And I do believe with the correct breakout, now we've broken this trend line as well, that could be a very large push to the upside for this trade to reach around 35.7 and around 377 as well, and of course around that 38 region. But the overall goal is still 46 cents for me, and I do believe no matter how long that takes, could be, excuse me, a matter of days or even several weeks, but the first real goal here is to get back to 38 cents, which is a pretty easy possibility, to be honest with you. So depending on how this works, I'm not too sure how the correlation, not even going to lie and say that I know right now, the correlations on BTC and XRP are a bit peculiar. So I do not want to say that there's an inverse or there is a normal correlation. I'm just going to say that they are moving pretty interestingly at the moment. And again, XRP has handled that pullback pretty well. It has broken through this region, whereas BTC is technically just broken below a new level of support once again, as it did before, tested, rejected. So if it does break lower down to this region yet again, we can expect this to plummet much lower, whereas XRP is now slowly making that increment higher. So it's a very different perspective and a very different chart. And if you can see over here, this 38 cents region, which I covered, since being broken, it has not been retested. We need to retest this level. If I extended this all the way out here, look at that rejection before. This is a very crucial region for XRP, and it has to be met again at some point. So long positions can most definitely be held for a very long time, because I do believe this should be coming through next. Let's make that purple, keep the theme going. So breakthrough, bang, bang, new higher low as well. Hoping to see this second trend break. Let me just put that there from a 4-hour perspective. So that's broken. You could even put that there if you really wished as well. But overall, now that this has formed, this is my new region of interest. So it's essentially another wedge. And you know, I like my potato wedges. There we go. So just be careful and be cautious of any pullbacks to around this trend line here. I'll leave that main trend line there as well. And of course, just be cautious around 30 to 31 cents. Just pullbacks, which could hopefully break through. We see the rejections and the retest of around 31.5 cents alongside this upside channel here of resistance. And bang, we can start incrementing higher. So as of now, everything is actually working to absolute perfection. We did see a little bit of a pullback to the upside, which was a bit unexpected. For XRP, it wasn't. We actually preempted we would go to the 32 cents region. However, when it did come to the likes of BTC, I wasn't actually expecting it to break out so soon. But as you can see, yet again, loads of people have already sent me profits that they've caught shorts already, wick rejections, and just showing the strength and absolute validity of these levels I've plotted. So please ensure you are copying my charts, keeping it very simplistic. As you can see, we have $10,000, $10,800, $11,600, $12,400, and $13,200, which hopefully should all become a reality soon. $9,200, this is just the base level for me. This isn't actually a real key level. It's just where we saw the last movement reject from and where we caught our initial long trade from. So if this does break through and break lower than the $9,600 region, then we better start gearing up for a much larger and volatile rocky movement to the downside. For now, let's leave that there. nice and smooth, body to body body. That rejection should at least land us back at 9,600. So I wouldn't be entering any longs at the top. Hopefully I've saved you some FOMO from doing that anyway. You would have followed my principles, rejection, bang, short. From there, you can maybe gear up for that 9,600 long. But overall, this is working out phenomenally well. Everything's going to plan. I'm very happy. I hope you guys are happy. I hope to see much more profits throughout the week that you guys are sending me. And guys, I'll see you in the Telegram shortly. Hope this has been a nice, insightful video to end your Thursday.